Julia Gillard is in Brisbane tonight to plead with business leaders to help her talk up Australia. But three Liberal premiers, including Campbell Newman, are boycotting the Economic Forum. National Affairs editor Paul Bongiorno is covering the event. And Paul, is this turning into a farce?
Well, Campbell Newman, Georgie, is convinced that there's only one reason why Julia Gillard's holding this forum here in Brisbane, and that's because the Prime Minister is desperate to turn around Labor's fortunes in a state that's become a wasteland for the party. So Campbell Newman and two of his fellow Liberal premiers think it's a political stunt, but four other premiers, including Victoria's Liberal Premier Baillieu and 130 business and union leaders, are happy to attend. Groupies were gathered outside the Brisbane Hotel, which is the venue for the forum. Not for Julia Gillard, but for another high-profile celebrity, Lady Gaga. Their agenda, not quite the Prime Minister's.
Well, she supports gay rights.
Definitely not attending Queensland Premier Campbell Newman.
To actually go and sit there while the Prime Minister had a PR event, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it.
Premier O'Farrell has a state budget on his plate, while WA's Colin Barnett can't see the point.
There was a late invitation to the states. There was no role for state premiers.
Well, I think they'll take their own decisions, but this is a very important discussion.
The Treasurer says it's about building on Australia's strengths, making the most of opportunities in Asia. The Prime Minister signalled she'll be urging business leaders help her talk up the Australian economy. Tony Abbott not convinced.
Look, what's the point of going to a carefully staged, managed, choreographed event?
Julia Gillard certainly hasn't got the pulling power of Lady Gaga with this crowd, but she certainly does need to turn in more star performances like last week's economic numbers. It's just that three of the four Liberal premiers don't want to help her. News poll shows Labor has stalled 8 points behind the coalition since the budget gains. But that doesn't deter Ms Gillard.
You can have that job and I'll have this job. They're not trying to get rid of you next year, are they? Sorry.
Well, one very prominent Queensland businessman, mining magnate Clive Palmer, definitely wasn't invited. He says that's because Julia Gillard wants everyone to agree with her, just like in Stalinist Russia. Well, this afternoon, the Queensland Chamber of Commerce and Industry put out a statement. They said that the forum is a good opportunity.
Thank you, Paul Bongiorno.